Like, Megan Lavoda, we know how intuitive you are, but I think you're dating your ideal type, and that's why it's so good. Not because she's an INFJ.
You heard it here first, folks.
Oh, shit!
Here on Talking with Famous People.
Megan, I really don't mean any offense. I feel so embarrassed. I was totally caught gossiping. Holy shit.
I knew you must not have known where you were going because it's like that's really strange that Rachel would say something like that out loud on the stream. It's the sort of thing that she'd say
I'm amused with you
to me, but she wouldn't normally.
Oh gosh, my face.
Say on the stream. I'm quite sure, Rachel, that nobody's going to.
I actually do think she's in a nice relationship, whatever type the person is. She seems to be very happy. She's been with the person for over a year, so.
Yeah, if she is an ISTP, that would make good sense, right?
Yeah.
The title of this video is, are BFFs really, because most people who say, like, we're BFFs, it doesn't turn out to be forever. They're just best friends temporarily. They're really BFTs. Are BFFs really BFTs? It would be maybe a better title to this. And just, are BFFs really? There. I'm trying to get you and me both in focus here. So maybe quite a while till we garner some viewers because, of course, I've used up all of my notifications today.
Oh.
Yeah, we already had 3 videos. We had 1 live stream, and then I had a video about anime that we made. Mm-hmm. And we had our biorhythm
things. Yeah, check it out, people.
That was a fun game.
That was fun.
I'm a little threatened by beeps, sure. Oh, good.
Thank you. Thank you, Winston's mom.
Did you inform him that he actually has better biorhythm compatibility with with Whoopi Goldberg?
Life Synchronic. 1080p. We've had since like December.
Yeah, but only recently did I realize I had the OBS. Oh, this doesn't use OBS though, so it shouldn't matter. It's the lighting that makes the difference.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like
Delilah did good. She knows.
Currently, we have it on the warm light.
That's nice. It kind of matches with the.
This is the.
Oh, that's the
icy light.
Icy.
That's
icy.
That's the icy light. Okay, this is kind of like greener.
That's
yellower, and this is bluer. This is nice.
It is nice.
Do you feel like you're watching a live stream from a sunny tropical isle?
I wonder.
And the sun setting over there by those books.
It's south.
Yeah. Life Synchronic. Smoking some chronic. Having himself a life.
It's a very good song. You know,
I should say having himself a life of sin. Because life synchronic.
Oh, true.
Life synchronic. Smoking some chronic. Having a life of sin.
So good.
Thanks, Rachel.
You're welcome. I think because I'm any ignoring, I ultra like your any jokes. Like, I just really like it.
We do have very compatible biorhythms.
We do.
Not sin, sign. S-Y-N. So it's sin as it might be spelled by a stripper. Life with chronic. Well, in celebration of that, I think it's time to smoke a bowl. Rachel and I have also eaten some marijuana tonight.
Yeah, it's yummy white peach flavored.
You want to go balls deep?
Hey, leaf trimmer.
Do you want to go balls deep? Let's go balls deep tonight.
I'd like to.
We're going to both have a second one of these. These are 100 milligrams a pop. So we're going to have 200 milligrams each.
So I want to get I want to get down with my real self.
All right, Rachel's gonna be a red-eyed Rebecca.
It happens when I eat edibles.
Yeah, she gets really red-eyed.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna be a white-eyed Whitaker.
I want to thank the girl at the I want to thank everyone who has dyed their hair blue or green after I did it. I think that's very nice. I did it for the green screen. Also, I felt like, what else did I want to talk about?
The BFFs are just teas.
I can't deny, right? Even though I knew like BFFs like don't last, because I kind of was the friend who would leave. Like I know, so like I had, and I honestly felt so much like regret and guilt for this, but I had a best friend in grammar school who, when we went to middle school, I was like, I kind of want to make I didn't tell her this, but I wanted to make my own friends. So, yeah.
And then as Rachel walked away, this girl, she was singing "Through the Summer and the Fall."
Oh my God.
We had each other.
That's what I feel. And then it's like,
the thing about BFFs is most people call themselves BFFs, usually like teenagers or 20-something
women
people or
in their
whatever.
20s, yeah. Bros in their 20s too.
By the time you're 45 years old, you're probably not hanging out anymore.
No, I'm 36 and I don't talk to any of my friends from high school. Not one of them.
And that's kind of the sad and dark part of life, right? Is that things change as time passes. We lose that which once was precious to us. Whether or not you are bothered by that or how much you're bothered by that, I think links to where SI is. I think front stack SI people either have such a good relationship with their memories, in other words, their SI DOMs or something, or SI tool, that they don't worry about losing stuff from the past. It doesn't bother them at all. Or they're SI third or fourth, and it feels tragic that the past changed. You know, the reality changes when you're not looking.
It's interesting. Leaf Trimmer said it was horrible in middle school. I was the one that walked away, same as Rachel, but it went horribly wrong with my new friend group. I ended up in a worse position than I was in originally. Sometimes it happens. I didn't feel so, at the time, I didn't feel so bad. I felt like it was almost my rite of passage to go out of my introvertedness and like make some new friends, because I was so attached to my old friends. And it went well. So I always felt a little guilty because of that. Because it was like I was kind of, but we didn't have any classes together in grammar school. So it was like not that big of a transition for me anyway, I felt, because I was like, well, we like didn't have classes together.
It's okay, Rachel. I forgive you.
Thank you.
You are forgiven.
Thank you, High Holy One. Yeah, so BFFs forever. BFFs forever. BFFs is like a very difficult.
Tends to be temporary.
Yeah,
but here's the thing: being an SI type, I am drawn to the idea of reconnecting to people from my past and sort of having the opportunity to reflect as a two-person affair upon the changes from the past. So in other words, like I would like to be able to sort of stand at an outcrop point with Corey and say, wow, remember back when we were this old, and then this, and then this, and then now here we are standing over here. But because I've got, separation between us, there's unlimited my capacity to do that with him. It's one of the reasons why I want to make sure I repair the relationship, is because I'm very attracted to the anime scene where the two old guys who have been ninjas side by side for many years are meet up again, and they're very old, and they sit down and they have the sake together or whatever.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
I like the idea. I also want it for selfish purposes because I think he's a rockin' musician, and I would love to collaborate with the two of you. Forget it. I think the three of us, plus Frank James, we would have such a fucking good ass band. Are you kidding?
It's gonna be a little tougher to recruit Frank James possibly than some other people, but I mean, if we get Frank James in the band,
you know you want to.
If we get Frank James in our band, I mean that's a big boost to your band's visibility.
It's a good boost to him too. They all know that I don't even know. He hasn't done a live thing in a while. I don't know if he's played music in his videos even.
Anime is just a Disney fairy tale. I mean,
it's even more than that, if you can believe.
There's a lot of different animes, right? So
yeah,
there are a lot of different kind of animes too. Some of them are fairy tales, and some of them are slice of life things. Some of them are rom-coms. Some of them are sports.
Some of them are about just straight up fighting too. The fight culture is very big in Japanese culture. I mean, I don't think there's any. If you like girls in uniform too, or boys in uniform, there's plenty of that. There is.
Mm-hmm.
If you like learning about Japanese traditions, oh my god.
What's his mom? Were you here at the beginning of this live stream? Or is that just incidental? I agree. We should get Megan LaMotta in the band to play her eyebrows.
She could play her eyebrows.
I wouldn't let Frank James near my circle if I was you, Eric. Town ain't big enough for 2 men and MBT. No, I have no conflict with Frank James.
It's not like that at all.
It's not like that.
No, it's really not.
Frank James is not trying to be a typology expert, okay? He's trying to be somebody who makes entertaining videos in the typology community about basically the way type descriptions are and the way types are and stuff. 88 seconds. So I don't know if you caught Rachel's opening comments or not. Probably not, because I think they were in the first 15 or 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But,
it was nothing bad.
Nothing bad. It really isn't bad, but it was just funny because it's the sort of thing that I know Rachel wouldn't say if she had known it had already started. She knew we were about to stream, but she didn't know that I had pushed to go live yet. And she was finishing her thought about the conversation we were having prior to me streaming.
Yeah, because I know she's in a relationship, and I like it. I like I literally studied relationships in college. I love studying people's relationships just in general, as you can tell.
I wonder if this is a good way to find those little noses on my hair. I mean, hairs on my nose.
It could be. Look at those facial expressions. Okay, so Lee Shermer thinks he's gonna go after me, but the thing is that I don't have feelings for.
I'm not worried about that.
Frank James.
The thing is, Frank James is an INFJ. I'm not worried about him conquering Rachel for two reasons. One, he's not really the conquering type per se. Number two, it wouldn't play well socially, and it would be too much of an FE clusterfuck. And number three, you typically aren't attracted to your own type.
No. I would love to, even with Corey, I would love to sit down and talk to him about life.
And number four, I trust Rachel,
That's good.
I'm not worried about anybody stealing her away from me.
I'm not worried. I used to be very worried about someone stealing you away, but I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're attracted to your identical. I think Well, I've had experience before with Becky. When I first met Becky, I was very interested in her, but I was noted right away the sort of incestuousness of any sort of physicality feelings about it. I found her to be like I just wasn't sexually attracted to her. I'm also not sexually attracted to ESTP women. I've known a couple.
That's good for me to know too.
And it's like this for the same reason. We're both looking for receivers in some sense, and the other person is clearly. We're both clearly competing to play first string in the same position.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you're not that kind of team to get me on there as first string me at you. Oh, you don't need a first string quarterback. You are a first string quarterback. Oh, okay. Well, I need to find a first string receiver.
That's a great way of explaining it. So, Leaf Trimmer, I mess up Frank James's name a lot. I've gotten better because I'm not a huge fan of the name Frank. So I would constantly mix up his name, James Frank. And like, it's kind of my brain's like, if I like someone, like.
You see, the reality of the Trimmer, I don't recall her ever complaining about Frank James.
No,
Although I do recall her, now that she mentions it, one time saying how she doesn't like the name Frank.
Yeah.
And that probably is why she always calls him James Frank.
Yeah, that is why.
Now, the point is, okay, whatever about that, but regardless, that doesn't even constitute a complaint about Frank James.
No,
it's just a complaint about the name Frank.
No,
so.
you want to know who I've complained about is more than anyone, probably Dr. Phil. I think Winston's mom can vouch for that.
Rachel. Now listen, I'm not going to let you come here on my show and complain about me to my face. You've got to face the truth.
Oh my gosh.
Okay?
I mean, I'm a very impassioned person, Leaf Trimmer, so I could have been like, I hate the name Frank, I don't even mean to say that I hate the name, okay? It's not even that. Like, I associate the name Frank with men who are of Italian descent. This is so racist, but it's true thoughts, so I'm just going to say it. And they're in wife beaters with smelling of cigars. Like, hey, get off my lawn. Like,
unless you want some watermelon. If you want some watermelon, get over here. Yeah.
Frankie. I think that's why. Because, like, the way the women say Frank is so, like, eh.
I'm not talking about park them. Just stop here temporarily.
Hey,
Go around. That guy, That's Frank.
That's Frank. But Frank James is not like that. I don't think anyway. But I am a fan of his music. I think he's a really good musician. There's something about INFJs in music.
I agree.
Thank you.
Right. Now, including Megan LaVoda in the band.
She'd be good.
She could be the what we could do is we could have it's not really a band so much as it's a luau show. She could be that lady.
Oh my gosh.
Right? The MC of the luau.
She could totally be the MC of the. She's also Moana from Moana.
I don't know what
it's
Moana
a Disney
is.
movie with an ENFJ.
Oh, a funky ENFJ protagonist. So anyway, I don't know if you've heard, but big gossip in the MBTI community. It was accidentally revealed by an unknown live mic that Rachel and probably Eric think Megan LaVoda has mistyped her own girlfriend.
Oh, it's true.
I want this gossip to spread like wildfire.
Oh my
So
god!
if you are an any MBTI,
But it's true. I can't even deny it. I really don't think that she's dating an INFJ. Her girlfriend doesn't. This is this is where intuition gets in trouble, right? Because I don't have any actual stuff except for the way that she looks to tell that I don't think she's
that's no
INFJ.
INFJ.
Yeah,
That lady's an ISTP.
I think she's an ISTP.
So is that a thing, Eric, not being attracted to the sense of version of your type? I mean, I think it's a thing not to be attracted to your own kind of function. So I'm an action type, means I'm not going to be attracted sexually to ENFPs, ESTPs, and ENTPs. The other action types are going to feel to me like, in some sense that we are all males looking for females, or we are all females looking for males in that regard. Like, and I might feel like fine dealing with interfacer or fine dealing with deliberator. More than fine, my deal dealing with the receiver, but I'm going to feel like these people are on over here targeting with me. They're not targets,
Yeah.
That's what my take is on types and attractiveness. That Rachel won't find ISFJ, INFJ, ISTJ, or INTJ men particularly attractive. Of those four types, probably INTJ would be the most attractive to her because it's got like at least she's got NI in common.
Mm-hmm.
And the T and F are reversed. So it's almost like an imitation ENTP.
Yeah.
That's like upside down back assward.
Yeah. It is.
I mean, you think that NTPs are the most honest types. The INTPs are stoic and almost not capable of telling their own truth, while the ENTPs are childlike in their enthusiasm for truth. I mean, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Are INTJs attractive usually, and if so, why? Like, as human beings, INTJ women seem smart, but as women, INTJ women seem super dumb.
Really?
Like,
see, I don't know. I don't know any.
This is my take on it. Okay, listen, I don't mean to offend anybody here at all. My take on INTJ women is that they don't know how to act like chicks.
Yeah.
Basically.
Do you find that accurate, Mrs. Mom?
It's not like they act masculine exactly. It's just that they don't know how to act like chicks.
I want to say that
they don't know how to do this. You're so funny. And the right amount of it at the right time, It's like they don't know all the stuff chicks are normally born knowing, like this top matches this skirt so great. They're not into chick stuff generally. And so as a consequence, when you deal with them as chicks, I think that you're more likely to think of them as like a dude in a chick's body, kind of. Like, you're not as worried about them emotionally as you might otherwise be or something. You don't feel protective towards them. Maybe this is just me. I don't know.
No, that's probably accurate in your description. I find the INTJ stare to be something that is actually real, like the INFJ door slam. INTJ stare is piercing. Oh my goodness. And it comes from nowhere. You're like, what? Huh? What's going on? That's how you know.
No, I'm not saying INTJ chicks don't look feminine. Absolutely. There's that's the thing that makes it weird is like if you get an INTJ or ISTJ chick who's very sexy, they don't seem to get that, right? Like they don't carry themselves with any kind of like successful I'm hot. They either go like oblivious to it, like push their glasses up and like, yeah, I'm this hot big titted girl, but do you like robots? You know, and just like, what in the fucking world? You're not aware that you're like a hot chick or something, you know?
I don't know any INTJs except for the one from MBTI Coffee. You know, the one that you said was probably
she's a good example of what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like she doesn't know how to be a chick.
Right?
The INFP one, I don't know if she's actually INFP, but the INTJ one I think is INTJ.
Yeah, I do too. And she sounds like an INTJ too. She's so smart. So smart.
Yeah.
She can go on and on like about her like, and the way that she presents herself is so clean. I do think there's a mysteriousness to INTJs which can make them attractive.
Well, I think in general, men engaging with women expect them to provide an ongoing FEQing to let the man know where he's standing, and INTJ females don't do that. So I mean, ISTJ women have even less style, probably.
You know what's funny is that I think the main character of The Hills, I believe that she's an ISTJ, and because she get like just by watching the show, she gives me prickly feelings. And she went to school for fashion, and then she got a job through Kohl's, and all her clothes are sized just for her. Like they're not normal like everyday sizes. It's like she uses her own body to like design these clothes, and like no one can fit in them. They're not cute either.
Well, I was thinking that girl in Durarara, right? Who's the big titted friend of the yellow haired kid and the brown haired kid, and she's like doesn't know what to do with the fact that these boys like her, and you're just kind of like, oh well. Turns out, after all, that I'm the mother of all the slashers. So turns out I have the cursed sword and I'm like super powerful, and that's why I've been kind of hesitant. But you would never be able to guess it because my strange lack of responsiveness to FEQs is just confusing.
Most loving MBTI type girl.
I mean, depends what you mean by loving. Like, I find Rachel is very loving.
Thanks.
And I also find that she's demonstratively loving in ways that are like she doesn't value herself what she's doing, in the sense that she's more likely to worry that telling me she loves me is bothering me than she is to assume that, you know.
It's true. What you're saying is 100% on point. I do worry. I'm like, am I telling him I love him too much?
But I mean,
I can't help it.
It doesn't bother me at all, obviously. But my position on that is also that it's her natural way of dealing with the core fear stemming from the polar. Just as my natural way of dealing with my core fear stemming from my polar is to be useful. So I felt very glad that for a couple of days I was able to be in a row. I was able to spend a lot of time being useful to my dad or doing things his way anyway. Spending time with him doing shit that I didn't really feel like doing because he wanted to see it done or whatever. That's the perfect example of how FI polar assumes that I need to provide something to be loved. I need to provide utility specifically to be loved, and that there's nothing inherent about me that deserves love if I don't earn it in some utilitarian way. I think that Rachel's polar core fear being not being useful, that she addresses that core fear of not being useful by being loving. So it's demonstrative 6, relieving her of her fear born of 7.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you have no idea.
The thing is, I like being loved just fine. So
that's why
it's fine
so
that
nice.
That's her way of making herself feel safe. Just like ultimately, when I'm able to go do stuff with my dad, it on some grounds makes me feel safe. Like that if I'm not useful enough, I'll be discarded by my family. And of course, that's not really the case. It's silly, but it's a deep down fear. So you want to say that INFJ loves deeply? I actually think that by and large they don't. I think Rachel does in this instance.
I do in this instance. It's very difficult. It's I'm pretty shallow.
I think generally speaking, INFJ is perfectly happy if they're able to comfortably only moisten on their terms when they feel like it.
Well, I knew that you were open to loving gestures or sentiments, so that opened me up because I've definitely no, I've never ever told anyone that I love them so as many times as you. It's ridiculous. It's so natural. It makes me feel good to tell him that I love him, and it makes me feel good to tell him how much I feel he's handsome and that he's wanted.
The reason I believe her so much is also because I feel like I understand why she hasn't really loved deeply heretofore. And the reason is, it's hard to love deeply when you feel fundamentally like you understand things better than the person you're loving does.
Yeah.
There's always this sense of, okay, all right, we're on different pages again, and I need to fix that. Or they need to stop being like that, or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's for an INFJ to love you, a prerequisite is for them to deeply love you, they have to genuinely and strongly respect you.
Yeah.
The thing is, whether or not I deserve it, I firmly believe that Rachel genuinely respects me a great deal.
Yeah.
So I don't think an INFJ can truly love somebody they don't respect a lot.
No. I also love like my friends and family. I love animals, so it's like spread out. I would say the deepest ones that I know of are INFJs. I mean INFPs. I have never met someone feel things so deeply than an INFP girl.
Yeah, INFPs love deeply. I agree with that. or at least intensely.
Intensely. It's so intense.
It's not comfortable for somebody who's not FI to be subject to that kind of intense affection or attention, like, FI attention. But of course, the thing is, for most people that they're not intimate with, I think INFPs are quite hard to get close to.
I don't know any INFP males, so I really don't know. I would assume so, but I'm not sure.
And it's difficult for an INFJ to find somebody that they respect, because ultimately, as soon as the INFJ feels they have mastery with a person's pattern and understand them in a way that precludes that person from continuing to be surprising to them, the INFJ will cease to have genuine engaged interest in that person.
So true.
My thing is, I'm not worried about that. Being an ENTP, I'm not worried about her pattern recognition ability outpacing my pattern defiance ability.
Yeah. It's good. We have a good relationship. We did from the start, and I think that's a good thing in general. If you start out on the right foot, so to say. I wanted to ask though, because Jen, I recently got in touch with my old friend Jen, and it turned out she was looking for me, and Eric had encouraged me to get in touch with her as well. And she is in a new relationship, and she's been in a relationship for almost 3 years now. So it's been really good. Is Alpha Quadra more relationship-y than the other quadras?
I think so. I think it's the most relationship-y quadra. Namdi says, I am, if we feel our partner is a little disingenuous, we'll start to question the relationship. The thing is, almost everybody is a little disingenuous or more. Most people have fairly distinct, or at least somewhat distinct, public faces and private faces. I think that one of the reasons, and then of course, if you are very open, transparent, and honest, but you're not especially intuitive, you might be like kind of an ISFJ or something, is fairly open, fairly transparent. They don't really have a lot to hide. What do they got going on? They're making dinner, they're watching TV.
Oh my gosh, it's my sister.
So, but they're going to get out intuited, so to speak, by the INFJ. So it's and it's not every ENTP who is as where I am on, I guess, a growth arc. It doesn't have to be this age, but people grow at different speeds. I have no doubt that there are ENTPs younger than I am who attained equivalent places in terms of growth. For me, I was very slow growing, in part because, those years when you're a drunk or wasted, you're not going to grow any when you're drunk. There's years when you're a meth addict or wasted, kind of. I mean, it's not a complete waste, but you're not really going to grow as a person. You may develop skills and stuff, but so it may be that I'm especially late blooming in this regard, but I'd like to think that NTPs, as Winston's mom indicated earlier, tend to move towards honesty and forthrightness in general, because they're TI, and it's ultimately about consistency and fairness and logic and stuff. So,
this relationship?
I'm talking about that. One of the reasons why you and I fit so well is because I am not disingenuous in that fashion. That you're not catching me in duplicities.
Right.
So you're with me all the time. You hear what I'm saying all the time.
Yeah.
And if I were somebody who were duplicitous, it would be difficult to to stay completely on top of that and not let those kind of contradicting myself occasionally happen. And Rachel's so on top of it that one time I drank a warm soda. It was in a can in the car, and Rachel jumped on me because I had previously teased my dad, not with my dad here, but sort of made fun of my dad about his habit he used to have of always driving around with a warm Diet Coke in his front seat of his car.
I did.
And so it's like that's the level of like scrutiny that I'm undergoing in terms of consistency.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No. Hey, I mean, the thing is, to some extent, you're right.
I felt bad for
it was kind of hypocritical, but in another sense, it wasn't remotely the same situation. So it was like, it's like, I was playing that thing my dad did for laughs when I talked about it the first time. I wasn't really critiquing it, I guess.
It is funny. There always is. Every time that I go into the front seat, there's that warm Pellegrino and a warm Diet Coke.
Yeah,
it's just a funny thing he does. You know what? We all have funny things that we do.
And a few times over the course of the last year, Rachel's caught me in a lie, usually to my dad. And when I say a few times, I mean a few times, like 3 or something.
Yeah,
not a lot of untruths.
No.
But even the small ones, it's weird, INFJs, right? It's like her memory's not great, not much greater than mine. Earlier today, my dad came in during the live stream and asked me about a scheduling of something, and I couldn't remember what it was about after the live stream was over. I asked Rachel. We both remembered the occasion of him coming in. We couldn't remember what it was about, right? But if I contradict myself, she'll know whether, even if I said the thing 4 months ago or whatever.
LOL, yeah.
So she really needs to be with somebody who's extremely committed to honesty for whatever reason, whether it be because I want to not be subject to arguments of hypocrisy or contradicting myself. That's probably the predominant reason. But it's most important to her that I don't contradict myself and I am honest regardless of the reason.
Yeah, because I am skittish when it comes to love. And it is that reason why, like, your words are so important, but you also think that your words are important. It's yeah.
When you got rid of me, when you got rid of me, you took off those kid gloves. That's why now I'm skittish about love. What do you think of the country lyric?
I like that.
You got rid of me. You took off those kid gloves. Now I'm skittish about love.
Wow, that's honestly so good.
Thanks, darling. I took your turn of phrase there, skittish about love, and I thought that sounds like a country lyric.
It does.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he also flirted with other women. Not cool. Flirting with other women is not cool. Neediness, I always tell Rachel, and I've told multiple people before, you are welcome to be as needy as you want with me. Neediness is fine. I have no problem reassuring you as much as you want to be reassured. That doesn't mean you can be as controlling as you want. That's a different matter. But you can be as needy as you want.
I hope that I'm not controlling.
You're not controlling at all.
See, that's where they say my fucking...
I haven't had to make the distinction clear for you.
Chart, they're like, you need to...
Listen, I have not had to have a conversation with you about the difference between controlling and needy because you understand it right away. You already understood it.
Yeah.
I had to have that conversation with Kimberly because she didn't seem to quite understand the difference between needy and controlling.
You're right about... I wonder if 8's one of the most... I don't know. Most common types. Enneagram.
I don't have any problem reassuring somebody who's feeling needy because I understand the relationship in terms of its status and what obligations, duties it confers on me. So once I determine that we are boyfriend, girlfriend, I'm not going anywhere.
It is so refreshing. It's so refreshing. I can't even tell you. I don't even know. Like, it means so much to me. You don't even know.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it partially is a matter of
Oh, shit.
Understanding what causes people discomfort and not wanting Rachel to experience discomfort, understanding what, and see, she and I are on the same page completely about the importance of saying the right words to each other.
Leaf trimmer. Since you said it twice, I'll answer. Eric, I believe ESTP women are more feelers than INFJ women. In a way, you are right. There have been times where Delilah has had a crying story, and I just smile and nod because I didn't cry at the same time.
It's important to remember that for both ENTP and ESTP, TI is instrumental, and FE is absolute. And for INFJ, FE is instrumental and TI is absolute. So the reason INFJs seem like the most thinkery of the feelers is because their knowledge is universal and their absolute value scorecard is universal fairness,
Yeah.
So that means that while they're very fluent in the language of emotions and will display them accordingly as need be, it's also the case that they're somewhat relieved and find it nice and smooth going if they can have a TI conversation where they can reliably leave the bulk of the TI work to another party while doing their own sort of meta TI work of TIing somebody else's TI, which is a little bit easier than doing all the TI yourself,
Yeah.
And I think they enjoy TI heavy conversations more necessary maybe than ESTPs or ENTPs do, depending on the situation.
Even
like
INTJs too. They don't really.
Like I would say, Rachel enjoys a more thinkery kind of media than I do.
Yeah, probably cerebral.
Yeah, I like colors and laughs and explosions and magic powers and dragons
and in that way, ESTP women, or at least Delilah, is like that too. She's very lighthearted when it comes to her sense of love. Like, she had her nails done for Valentine's Day. She asked us what we were doing for Valentine's Day. Like, you could tell, like, there's this like lightness of like love about her. It's very youthful. It's very nice. It's refreshing, I have to say.
Yeah. ENTPs and ESTPs in some sense are both much more sensitive than INFJs are.
Yeah.
INFJs have a resignation gear that I think ESTPs and ENTPs don't really have. Like, INFJs can resign themselves to bad realities, whereas ESTPs and ENTPs may persist in bad realities for a long time, but kicking and screaming the whole time. Out of stubbornness. No, you change bad reality. I will not leave you. As far as the screen over the couch, so I have had it before with this green draped over the couch, and the problem is sitting on it causes it to tug it a lot, and it'll rip at the top. So I stopped doing that.
Oh.
It's really hard to not pull it when you're sitting. I'm not sure why exactly, but I found it almost impossible to sit on it and have a fairly long video and not at some point reposition. And when I sit back down, it tugs it down.
Yeah, that used to happen a lot. I did that at one point.
It would be hard to have a sloped shape with shadows. I guess it would be sloped, but not necessarily that curved. With this light, we could probably do it. This circle light here is
and my hair is a good color for it too.
Yeah,
and wouldn't disappear.
De-blued her hair. I was thinking, maybe somebody knows, why don't they have, instead of, how they have 2 color screens that they use as default color match screens, green and blue? Why don't they have them more different than that? Why don't they have like green and red screens?
I was wondering the same thing. Oh yeah, we had talked about that.
Yeah, that's why
I probably had a dream about it. I had a dream about it. I was trying to figure out where. Well,
it's a pretty important issue.
Because I've been wondering where it is on the scale, on the circle color wheel.
Now, true, Winston's mom, I could go get a green futon cover. And true, double true, this futon is as stained as the paper towel in the trash can at the menstrual blood gathering facility.
Yeah.
Eric asked us, would you say that FE is style over substance and TE is substance over style? No. I would say that FE is people over words, and TE is systems over people.
Winston's mom, speaking of Greece, the movie, so like I did, I'm into astrology, and I did a Davison chart for me and Eric, and our Davison birthday is March 8th, 1978, I believe. I don't know. I gotta recheck. Hold on. I actually have it on my phone.
Of all the people I've ever known, there's only one person that I've had more emotional closeness to than Rachel, and that's Justin Bieber.
Oh my gosh.
He and I are 100% match on our biorhythms for emotion.
Woohoo!
Rachel and I are only 99 point something or 98 point something, but Beebs and I, 100%. It's a straight line.
I wonder if he dreams the same thing as you dream.
We're always exactly in the same place emotionally.
That's good to know.
When I feel like playing Scrabble, he feels like playing Scrabble.
I'm gonna really keep up with him in the tablets now.
When I feel like having pineapple, he feels like having pineapple.
So yeah, our Davison chart birthday is Wednesday, March 8th, 1978, and Grease came out in 1978.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea to do celebrity couple compatibility package. So it would be their biorhythm compatibility, their astrological compatibility, and their
Chinese
numerological compatibility.
There's so many compatibilities.
And their Chinese astrology compatibility. And it would give them a total ranking. You have certain points for each one, and we'll say the rankings can go from soulmates all the way down to nemesis.
Oh.
From soulmate to nemesis.
I like that.
So what, like,
to know your enemies.
Where would we rank on scale of soulmate to nemesis? Where would we rank Whoopi Goldberg and Ted Danson? They got a B, right? A high B, 87.
Yeah, they got a high. They got mid B. They got an 83.
Oh, 83. Okay, so they got a B. So I guess you'd call that
pretty good.
Second wife, or would you call that
Soulmates, not life mates.
Broken off engagement.
Did they have an engagement?
But they got engaged, and
Okay,
they ended
yes.
up breaking up.
Yes.
Okay, so you call that an aborted marriage? Yeah. So okay.
Yeah, an aborted marriage. Sure.
If you get in the 83 kind of category, that qualifies as level aborted marriage, which is to say you got engaged, but it didn't work out.
Honestly, Winston's mom, I don't know what host Eric's Rahu and K2 are. Mine is in my Rahu is in Taurus and my K2 is in Scorpio. And interestingly enough, I don't have any retrograde planets, but I do have Rahu and K2 in retrograde. So it's like all the advice is for Rahu and K2 is opposite. Same thing for my houses. I'm all, honestly, Eric's touchdown on New York in the stars for my conception made for a birth chart that's just basically only okay with Eric's.
The crazy thing is, we were taking taking a walk down to the local bodega to purchase some hot water dogs in the New York fashion. When I said, hold on a second, and I ran up a little brownstone in Yonkers, and I listened to the door, and I was like, I hear some noises, and I opened the door, and there they were. It was Rachel's dad ejaculating into Rachel's mom's uterus, going, and I said, whoa, my bad, wrong door. And then I rejoined my class. I never told you that before, huh, Rachel?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, true story. True story.
Take one that to the ages.
No, but it is true that it is a very high chance that I was in New York when Rachel was conceived.
Yes, and I honestly believe that I have such a I would do the relationship charts with between my sister, my brother, my mom, my dad, aunts, my friends, even fucking terrible. I would be like, am I supposed to be with anyone because this shit is so messed up? I feel so bad about myself. But then I realized it's just because I wasn't meant for anyone else but you.
And that's when you realized, are there any words besides bonkers that rhyme with Yonkers?
Oh, that's so nice.
Are there? I'm curious. I feel you'd have a lot in common with Tom Cruise and Shia LaBeouf. Well, you can go to the biorhythm calculator. You can see, is clonkers a word?
Clonkers?
Honkers. Okay, yeah, honkers. Honkers is the word.
Yonkers and honkers.
And bonkers.
And bonkers.
Floofy fonkers. Floofy fonkers is not a word, Winston's mom.
Winston's mom. Actually, where were you born? I'm curious. And also, Yonkers is where Lady Gaga was born, but she denies it for some reason, and I don't understand why.
She is basically Obamaing herself, insisting that she was born in Africa. Yeah. Lady Gaga insists she's really Kenyan.
Carmel by the Sea? Wait, where in Carmel?
That's Carmel by the Sea is a city in Northern California that's it's near where they have the Pebble Beach golf.
Oh my gosh! I actually know people who've gone to the Pebble Beach golf course, and I was confused because there's a Carmel, New York. So I was like, oh, is there...
Carmel by the Sea is pronounced Carmel, and the full name of it is Carmel by the Sea. That's the name of the city. It's not just, That's not. She's not just tossing them
I
by
know,
the sea.
I know. That's why I questioned it. That's why I was like, Carmel by the Sea?
It's most
That's
famous
cool.
for having been mayored by Clint Eastwood.
That is pretty cool. I guess.
Sure. Now, you might think it's most famous for its caramel. You might think that. But as far as I know, there are no caramel factories in Carmel by the Sea.
Is it by the sea?
It is by the sea.
Okay.
It's not lying about that part.
Okay.
So it's only half lying. The name Carmel by the Sea is only half telling a lie.
There's a Carmel, New York.
It is by the sea. Is the Carmel, New York by the sea?
Yes, no. That's why I was asking. I was like, huh? Why would
it change its
that?
name to Carmel away from the sea?
Right? Oh my God.
That'd be a great joke.
All right, I want to be governor of New York, and that's the thing that I'm going to change. Carmel is now the Carmel of what? The east of the non-sea?
Away from
the sea. Carmel away from the sea. Yes, that's a good name. That's a good name.
I'm pretty sure only the city Carmel of New York has the power to change its own name to Carmel away from the sea. We just have to have a big we need a GoFundMe campaign.
I have family who live in Carmel. They can hook me up with some peeps. I'm not good at networking.
How much do you think we could raise in a GoFundMe campaign to fund a campaign to raise awareness or basically a campaign to fund a proposition on the local ballot of Carmel, New York, to change its name to Carmel away from the sea?
Oh my God, I love that idea so much. It is true.
That way it wouldn't get confused.
It wouldn't be confused.
And you say, well, which one? Away from the sea.
You know what I like too? Is that there's a Hempstead Avenue in Arcadia. And there's a Hempstead Avenue. Or no, it's Hempstead Avenue?
Maybe.
There's a Hempstead Avenue in Franklin Square.
It's the same Hempstead Avenue.
Right? It goes all the way there.
All the way across the country. It's one of the longest
it just goes to show
surface streets in the whole country.
Like, some things are just, like, so easy. It's like, let's call it. There's honestly, though, Baldwin, Long Island, I want to know if it has any, like, relation to Lucky Baldwin here. Like, I wonder if he started out on Long Island, realized, it's fucking shitty here. It's just farmland. And then he moved out west.
Baldwin, Long Island. Okay, let's look up Baldwin, Long Island and see if it has anything to do with Lucky Baldwin.
Yeah.
Lucky Baldwin was a pederast who founded Arcadia. Baldwin, New York, you said?
Yeah, Long Island, New York.
Long Island. It's located in the town of Hempstead, okay? In Nassau County, New York, New York. Now listen here, you. Original inhabitants of the area between Parsons Creek, near Oceanside, and Milligan Creek, down near Freeport, were Native Americans, okay? And they was known as the Merok or Merrick. They were a band of Lenape peoples. They were indigenous to most of this whole South Shore of Long Island here. They spoke a language called Algonquian, and they lived in 2 villages along Millburn Creek. Okay, enough with the PC shit. Let's go down to the good stuff here. Now, in 1643, English colonists began to call this area Hicks Neck, okay? It's not
oh my gosh, no way!
It's not because there was a bunch of Hicks there, all right? That's what people think. It's because 2 of Hempstead's early settlers, John Sprague and John Hicks, were called. That's why the Hicks comes from. They're from Flushing.
There's a Hicksville.
Let's see, where's Baldwin?
Thomas Baldwin.
Thomas Baldwin, a 6th generation of the Baldwin family of Hempstead. Is Lucky Baldwin related to the Hempstead Baldwins? What I need to ask. Is Lucky Baldwin related to the Hempstead Baldwins? Missing Hempstead. Must include Hempstead. Is that how you spell it?
Yeah.
Let me put this in the eyes.
Is right.
Baldwin went from Butler County to Indiana. I don't think it's the same Baldwin. Pretty sure it's not.
It's not.
No, it's a different Baldwin.
That would have been cool.
No, not Lucky Baldwin's. Lucky Baldwin. Wikipedia. He was born in Ohio, the fourth of 14 children. The family moved to a farm in Indiana in 1834 when he was 6. Throughout his childhood, he was known as a wanderer and an adventurer. Baldwin received little formal education, but was known as a strong-willed, independent individual. At 18, he eloped with a neighbor girl named, he was also a horn dog. He was constantly getting married and divorced. At 18, he eloped with a neighbor girl named Sarah Ann Unruh and returned home to farm and train horses. He and his wife looked for a more prosperous way to make a living, so they moved to Valparaiso. His first daughter was born Clara. In 1853, so at that point he's 26 in 1853.
Wow.
25.
That's a nice time to be in the gold rush.
Yeah, he's 25,
Nice age.
and he decides to go to the gold rush. He sold his businesses, and he used the profits to purchase wagons and went west. Before he left Wisconsin with his wife and 6-year-old daughter, he got a bunch of people together. He was saved by starvation by friendly Native Americans who brought him back to the wagon train. Outside Salt Lake City, his caravan was attacked by less friendly Native Americans, and Baldwin barely escaped with his life. In Salt Lake City, home to the Mormons, he sold the bulk of his brandy to the brother of Brigham Young at $16 a gallon. He also sold the tobacco and tea and used the profits to buy horses. The family arrived in Hangtown, later known as Placerville, barefoot and worn out. Baldwin sold the horses upon arriving in Sacramento at a 400% profit. Baldwin and Sarah, they're still the same wife? Yeah. Baldwin and Sarah more than doubled their capital while crossing the country. He later started, let's see. He immediately bought the Temperance Hotel on Pacific Avenue in Battery Street with $5,000 cash, which he sold only 30 days later for a $5,000 profit. He was active in the lively real estate market, bought a livery, bought and sold goods, and invested in the stock market, becoming a key player in the San Francisco Stock Exchange. He lost 2 infants in 1862, and the Baldwins divorced. Huh. That's kind of interesting.
That is so interesting.
So when were they together? Since from 1834, when he was 6, at age 18 was then 1846. In 7 years from then, he and his wife went to California, and it was another 9 years. So they were together 16 years.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah. Then they divorced, and he built these opulent built-in hotel and theater on the corner of Market Street near Union Square.
Where's Union Square?
It's San Francisco.
Oh.
Comstock Lid was discovered in Nevada. He bought a livery, made money on several ventures, received 2,000 shares of Ophir Mine. Using the profit, he invested in other mines. He sold the livery and went to leave for India. He left his instructions for his broker to sell his Norcross stock, but fell below $800 a foot. But upon returning to San Francisco, he learned that his stocks had indeed fallen below the threshold prices he had specified, but his broker had been unable to sell because Baldwin had taken the key to the safe holding his stock certificates. In an incredible stroke of good fortune, the stock price had rebounded to a spectacular level, creating a multi-million-dollar profit for Baldwin. Using newfound wealth, estimated to be about $2.5 million, or about $71 million in today's money, he branched out into new investments.
Wow.
He led a flamboyant lifestyle. His matrimonial ventures periodically created sensation. He was married 4 times. The first 2 marriages ended in a divorce. His third wife, Jeannie Dexter, was a 16-year-old child at the time of the marriage, as his third wife. So he must have been, a little bit on the older side.
Yeah.
She died of tuberculosis at age 23, leaving him a 5-year-old daughter. Baldwin then remarried another 16-year-old, Lily Bennett, who looked like the last one who had died. And the Queen Anne Cottage at the local Los Angeles Arboretum near our house was built as a honeymoon present by Lily's father. They separated after less than 2 years, but never divorced. He reportedly had many affairs with young women in his older years. He was sued by 4 women for breach of promise of marriage. His stature as a celebrity was such that at age 56, when he married Bennett in San Francisco, the wedding drew coast-to-coast press coverage. In the same year, he was sued by a 16-year-old girl who was awarded $75,000 in damages.
Wow.
One woman remembered for accusing him of breach of promise, shot and wounded him in 1883 with a pistol inside his luxury Baldwin hotel. And her name was Fanny Verona Baldwin, a native of Olympia in what was then Washington Territory. Verona herself stated that it was not a case of seduction, however, but of rape. He also narrowly escaped death in San Francisco courtroom on July 2nd, 1896. He was sued by Lillian Ashley for seduction. While she was on the witness stand, her sister, Emily Ashley, walked up behind Baldwin and fired a pistol at him, grazing his skull. Wow.
Wow is right.
I guess his final wife was Lily. Lily and Ashley later Turnbull signed a wedding contract with Lucky Baldwin. 16. So anyway, he died in when? Doesn't say when he died. Or what he died of. It says up here. He died at 80 of 1909. What you said more clearly where he died? Oh, here. When he died at there, he didn't say why he died or what he died of. When he died on March 1st, 1909. There were many relatives and friends at his side. Turned out after he was dead, some of his land had oil on it too.
Wow.
So he really was a pretty lucky guy.
Yeah.
And that's the story. Baldwin Pond is the lake at the Arboretum. Baldwin Cottage, right there is a Queen Anne Cottage and Coach Barn.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel and I have seen those. We've been there.
Mm-hmm.
Walked around.
Yeah, we did. It was nice.
Who will direct the biopic about him? See, that's the thing, okay? He existed in a time where the legal age for girls to get married was 16. And he didn't concern himself. He did not concern himself about the matter besides following the law. In other words, somebody nowadays would probably go, I don't care how much of a scumbag I am. I'm not going to marry a succession of 16-year-old girls from a state where it's legal to do so. You know, it just, the media crucifixion would be brutal.
Yeah, it is.
Right? But Lucky Baldwin existed in a time period when if he was following the law, and people would just go, well, he's marrying a 16-year-old beauty and lucky him, Lucky Baldwin.
Yeah, like, okay, so that brings me to Bridgerton on Netflix. They actually, they show an example of, a gossip mag, but it looks like a newspaper. So I don't know if it's, newspapers started out that way, but it's, Mrs. Featherbottom, and, it tells the stories of, the girls and boys of the town. It's and it's all gossip. So I don't know. I just think communication is so interesting. It was probably, if anything, it was probably like that. Like you said, a little bit, and Lucky Baldwin. Blah, blah.
They probably tried to just say, well, it's like any other marriage.
Got married.
And who's the lucky young lady? Why, it's Jillian Yanana. This 16-year-old debutante from San Francisco, California, looks dashing today in her. Lucky and his new bride will be off for their honeymoon in beautiful Hawaii. Starting next week. Next story. It's like at the time, probably a lot of people thought to themselves, or even talk to each other, is that okay what he's doing? But at the same time, there was not any universal consensus on the matter, except people go, well, it's legal.
So bizarre.
And it'd probably be like, I guess if you're rich and famous,
Oh my gosh.
That's what you get to do, It's sort of probably like that a little bit.
I have to be so grateful I am so grateful to be a woman in today's times. That's just me though. It
really doesn't matter what era it would be. I think I'd be the same way.
I would be too, but
ENTPs are very egalitarian. I think they've always been. If you look at Rod Serling and his And his talk about race from back in the 50s, he's
Oh, yeah.
very advanced about it.
The only thing that, well, I am glad because I wouldn't want my mom to marry me off when I was like 16. Because I would be like, no, I'm way too young for that. Like, how am I going to know?
But Rachel, Percy Denouement comes from a wonderful, rich family. You've got to marry him.
She never was like that.
I mean, I don't think all ENTPs are all egalitarian. I think that there's a growth arc. There's this period of time during adolescence when ENTPs tend to be vocally elitist. Probably ESTPs as well in a different way. And both types, as they grow in relation to their own FI polar and and in terms of their knowledge functions in particular. So, in other words, ESTPs grow by coming to terms with the weakness of their NI in the same way that ENTPs grow by coming to terms with the weakness of their SI, in part. What I mean by egalitarian is we are not inclined to treat people differently based on hierarchy, age, or other things besides just as a sort of default. I will treat you like I treat everybody the same way as I treat everybody. And it's sort of my responsibility not to consider you when determining my behavior.
Can I have the paper towels?
Yeah. What are my thoughts on the Texas power outage? I don't feel particularly well informed about it. I would say that as an executive, as a federal executive, I would ask Texas if they wanted my opinion or if they thought the federal government needed to be involved in it at all, first and foremost. I think Texas especially would appreciate that. I would not try to presume that it's necessarily a federal issue. If Texas, it seems like there's broad consensus that within Texas that they would like the president's opinion on the matter. Obviously, presidents traditionally voice some matter of commiseration for victims of
Levi Samuels.
Unfortunate circumstances. But like I said, I have to admit I'm quite uninformed about this matter. I'm not exactly sure what's going on in Texas right now. I haven't checked the news in a couple of days. I usually check Google News every day, but not always. How does that answer sound to you, Leaf Trimmer? Critique my presidentialness.
I'm doing good, Levi Samuels. Thanks for asking. I found out I don't know if I told you this, but I don't think I did. I found out my sister is an ISFJ too. Just like you.
Levi and Cat.
Yeah.
Sitting in a tree. ISFJING.
First comes the baking.
Then comes TV. ISFJING.
Yeah.
First comes food. Then comes TV. ISFJING. Cat and Levi sitting in a tree. ISFJING. First comes the food, then TV. ISFJING.
That was a good one.
You never know. Yeah, you never know. If there are any two identical types that I think might actually fit together, there might be a couple of SI downs, a couple of ISTJs or a couple of ISFJs, because it's like, oh, you like to wallow? I like to wallow too. You want to wallow together?
Well, I think she'd be upset if I didn't tell everyone that she has a boyfriend.
She's got a boyfriend, boys. You better stay away. Don't make me wag my finger.
Like you said, you never know.
Oh shit! I'm supposed to meet with Jeff's mom. I forgot. Fuck. What time is that supposed to be at?
8.
8:30?
Oh yeah, 8:30.
I'm not gonna have a chance to read this thing. It's only 15 pages. I'm still not gonna have a chance to read it. I'm on my in 7 minutes. I can read it in 7 minutes. 5 attachments. What's all this shit? All right, I gotta go. All right, bye everybody. Thanks for being here.
Bye.